All right. Hey, everybody. I asked Rachel to do this. She didn't volunteer, so please give her some respect and huge round of applause. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Maybe one day I'll get paid for it.
Oh, no.
You never know. So first off, I hate public speaking. Everyone does. I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum with the ums and the stutterings and the giant pauses. So we'll see how it goes. My resting heartbeat is like up 50 beats a minute. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm Rachel. I'm a realtor in Spokane. I actually came to this meeting 3 years ago, almost to the date. So it was June 2021. I didn't own anything. I was 18 years old. And I just wanted to learn. So I came here and I learned everything I could from this REI meetup. And I think it's super valuable, everything in this room and everything Nick has to offer and the people that he just puts us in connection with. And there's not. But I just think it's great. And I learned a lot from coming to these meetings. And so full circle, I'm here talking about it now. Less than 3 years later, I consider myself financially free. So I wanted to write a book, and it was Financially Free by 23. But I am 21. So that's a little pat on the back for me. I tried really hard. I was really frugal. My family is very Ramsey. And so I tried to buy everything in cash. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for the first time when I was 17 years old, and I knew I wanted to go into real estate, and I didn't know how. And so I read that book, and I read the good debt versus the bad debt. And I really didn't know how it was going to work with my life and just, tried to figure it out. And so I bought everything with cash. But again, my parents didn't do this. I'm not a trust fund baby. I'm actually from West Virginia. And so I moved 3,000 miles with pretty much no savings. And it's hard to buy things with cash. And this is how I did it. This is not how I did it. So here's my Who Am I slide. I did do 4 flips to start out with. And that was I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, thought I could do it. Everyone was flipping. The market was super hot. No way anything in Spokane went for less than $250 while I sold for $220. So I lost a lot of money on those ones. And I did all of them on hard money. And then I got very scared after that. So I was raised Ramsey, didn't know how I was going to make it work, didn't know how to buy things in cash, did it the hard money way, lost money, decided I was never going to flip again. So now I have 4 doors, and I have a trailer in a trailer park, which was super affordable, super cheap. I have a house in West Virginia in my hometown, and then I have a duplex. I count that as my 3rd and 4th. I think I'm allowed to do that. I think it counts. So there's my, yeah, I think it counts. So I think when you start out, here's my getting started slide. So here's my topics. This is everything I'm covering, just how to get started, investing in trailer parks, out-of-state investing, and then house hacking with multifamilies. When you get started, I think you really have to find your why. I'm not necessarily in it to be in it forever. I do have aspirations and dreams outside of just flipping houses, owning houses, being a real estate mogul, right? And I think it's really important to know that, because if it's just to make a lot of money, you're going to burn out really fast. And so you need to find why you're doing it and make that really solid, and just keep that in back of mind whenever you're doing everything. So long term, I do want to have a domestic violence women's shelter. I'd like to start the Daily Bread Bakery, where it donates back into the community. I really want to start a low-income dance studio, and then foster children. And so I knew I wanted a big income to support me so that I could go do philanthropic things. That was my why. And then I started gathering knowledge, started coming to things like this, started going to the REIs, read a lot of books, became a realtor, got firsthand knowledge helping investors and figuring out how they made money and how it made sense for me to make money. And then I think you do need a pretty decent savings. When I did my first flip, I only had like $10,000 in the bank, and then I partnered up with someone else to bring the rest of the capital. And it would have been a little bit more comfy if I had savings that was more than 10 grand. And so I'd suggest having at least like 40,000 at least. But you could do it with a lot less. It's definitely possible, especially if you're doing something like I did with the trailers. So everything is simple in theory, but nothing's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. That's what my family tells me all the time. So again, all of the stuff that I'm going to tell you, it's super, super simple. It's not rocket science, easy to learn. I can give you all the information. You can go do it tomorrow. It's just kind of difficult when you put it into practice. And then legal stuff, just disclosure. I did form an LLC. I did not talk to an attorney, but you should. Yeah, you don't have to. Rocket Lawyer does exist. You should talk to an attorney. And then here's my trailer. She's a cutie. So I helped a family last year with a transaction in a trailer park. I do a lot of trailers. I love doing trailers. They're just amazing people. And they let me know that one of the trailers was for sale for $2,000 and that the lady had been trying to sell it for 2 years. And I was like, if that's true, I'm going to go buy it tomorrow. And so that's what I did. I called her and she said, meet me at the courthouse and we can have $2,000 in cash. We'll sign the paperwork at the courthouse and it'll be yours. So, all right. So I did that. It was really bad. For $2,000, it was really bad. But this is still my favorite one. And so my tips for doing a trailer in a trailer park, you want to make sure that you're not spending more than $10,000 up front to get into it unless it is rent ready. If it is rent ready, spend 20, 30, whatever your heart desires. Do whatever you feel like. If you have to put work into it, don't buy it for more than 10 grand. A lot of the trailer parks will just give these away for free. My trailer park right now is giving away one of the trailers for free and giving away lot rent for free for 6 months if you purchase that home and renovate it because it makes the community nicer. If you start calling the trailer parks and you start saying, hey, I want to buy something, let me know. And you just keep circulating it. I'm a flipper. I'm an investor. I will make it nicer. They will reach out to you when they have deals that they want renovated because they're literally falling down trailers. They don't want them. They don't have anybody to do it. And you're going to do it and make their community nicer and they can charge more lot rent for everybody else. So you can pick it up for free. It's the way to do it. Otherwise, find them on Facebook. No more than 10 grand. If you find them on the market, I wouldn't buy it. It's not a good deal. They're usually 50 to 100K in Spokane. I don't know about Coeur d'Alene, but 50 to 100K in Spokane. I wouldn't pay 50K for a trailer. Just my experience. I wouldn't do it. And then your lot rent can change. Just factor that in. You are a tenant, essentially. It's subleasing when you keep it as a rental. And so your lot rent could go from $300 to $700 in a year and you have no control over that and it could really mess with your numbers. So you just want to make sure that you're solid and if it does fluctuate, you know you're still going to make money. And then just make sure the parks do allow subleasing. I did not. So I had to negotiate with them a little bit, which was basically me calling them every single day and begging to do it. And then they eventually said that I could do it. So if they don't allow subleasing, there's workarounds. Everyone does rent to owns. If you get into the trailer park communities and you start talking to them about how are you renting out your trailers, they do a lot of rent to own. And so with that, when the parks don't allow subleasing, they might tell you like, no, you can't sublease your trailer. The owner has to live in the park, right? And so you tell them, okay, that's fine. You get a rent to own contract and it doesn't switch the title from your name as the owner to them until they pay it off, right? Like any other rent to own contract, it does not switch ownership until they finish paying it off. So it's still in your name. They're still paying rent. When they finish paying that rent to own contract, which could be a 5-year term with a balloon payment, or you could spread it out over 30 years and they could pay off the trailer in 30 years, whatever it is, then you would transfer ownership to them once it's fully paid off. A lot of the rent to own landlords that do this expect that it will never get paid off. And so they will reclaim it. So they'll do $5,000 down, $1,500 a month, $500 a month goes towards ownership of the trailer. The other $1,000 is rent, right? Really high interest payment for that rent. And then they just expect in a couple years that the trailer renter will default at some point. They won't be able to make the payment and they'll have to give it back. They get to collect that $5,000 down payment. It's non-refundable and all of the rent that they've collected over that term. And the park can't tell them no because they are technically not renting it out. The new person is the owner. Technically not. It's a weird workaround. It exists. That's what people will do in the trailer parks when they're not allowed to sublease, and that's what I would have done. I did not want to do that because I wanted it to be a traditional rental, but that's definitely a workaround.
When you do that, is the lot rent included in what?
I do, yeah. I pay the lot rent every single month just to make sure that it is getting paid because I just don't trust anybody.
Well,
and so
in the like rent to own one, are you paying the lot?
you can structure it either way, but I would suggest paying it just because if you don't pay it, then you're still going to be in default in some way. And so I would just factor it in, bump it up a little bit. But what's cool with the rent to own too is, so as a landlord right now, if anything breaks, I have to go fix it. For rent to own, they do that $5,000 non-refundable down payment. If anything breaks, they're renting to own it. They have to go fix it. So if the shower head falls off or the plumbing breaks, all the pipes burst this year in the trailer. It's a trailer. It was so cold in Spokane. Everything froze. I had to go pay for that. But if they were renting to own it, they would have paid for that. So that is one advantage to that too. It takes a little bit less liability off of you. So this is Buckeye Buddy. This was her before. This was the hoarder house. This is why it was $2,000. It was so bad. She was a school teacher. She taught sewing at a local elementary school. And this is what she was living in. It was kind of sad. But she moved in with family, got out of the mess, and then I cleared it out. I spent more junking out than I did on actually purchasing it. I think I spent like $3,500 on junk removal, which was pretty wild. It was, yeah, there were like dead mice in the cabinets. It was pretty nasty. And this is her after, and she's a cutie. She's a cutie. So here's my numbers. I had a lot of people lined up when I rented it out. A lot of people were willing to pay $1,400, and that's what I had it rented. Like the offer was $1,400 a month, and I had a lot of people lined up. And this was my very first rental ever, and so I was terrified that they weren't going to pay. And so I had one gal, and she came up and she negotiated with me, and she said, "Would you do $1,250?" And in my head, I thought, if she's negotiating with me, she's planning on paying. You wouldn't negotiate if you're just not going to ever pay, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with you. Because you're going to pay me. I'm pretty confident you're going to pay me. And she has paid me every single month on time and been the most high maintenance person of my life. I now have a tankless hot water heater in this 60s trailer because 15 minutes of hot water wasn't enough for her. So maybe don't go with the negotiators in the future. Just go with the ones that have a good credit score. Lesson learned. But anyway, she is moving out at the end of the month. I only did a 6-month lease, so she's moving on in her life, and I'm going to list it at $1,500. So if I get $1,500, obviously the numbers change a little bit. Right now I have it at $1,250, so that would be an extra $250. So my numbers would change a little. My entire rehab cost was $18,957, and then I bought it for $2,000. Obviously, that's my all-in. That includes all of the costs. When I went to the courthouse, that $18,000 includes it, so about $20,000 all into it. And then I make $900 a month because the park fees are $350. Again, the park fees could change at literally any point, and it could really mess up my numbers, but I just took the risk, and I knew that buying it at $2,000, there wasn't a chance that I wasn't going to make money. And if it does go up, I would probably just sell it for $50 to $100K because there's nothing in Spokane under $50 to $100K. I just wanted to keep the long-term cash flow and replace my income eventually with passive. And so I held on to it. But the ARV is on there. You can't do a burr method on a trailer. It's just on owned land. But the ARV is up there, so if I wanted to sell it, I could. Also, feel free to ask questions at any point.
I just want to point out, it is true what she's saying, these parks will sometimes just give trailers away. Like my brother has a business of doing this in Post Falls, where almost every trailer he gets for free from this park because they know that he'll actually fix it up and bring in renters that will pay their lot rent. So they don't do that for everybody, but if they know somebody has a history of actually doing work, they just get them for free, which is wild, but it works.
Yeah, I won't share the park that I'm in because I'm trying to get the one for free. But there is another park in Chattaroy, Washington that gives them away for free. It's called Rustic Ridge. So if you guys want to reach out to them, they have a lot of crappy ones that are in need of some love.
So when you say they're giving them away for free, it's not like we're giving it away and we expect you to haul it off.
No, they want it to stay there because they want to collect park rent at some point.
They'll start charging you park rent immediately?
Some of them won't. So the ones in Rustic Ridge and the one at mine, they will negotiate in 3 to 6 months of free park rent so that you have the opportunity to get it flipped and sold so that the new person can pay the park rent. But some of them do. Yeah.
Can you just briefly go over what are some of the specific things that you do on a
1960s?
Yes, to make it.
Yeah. Okay. This is not mine. This is mine. Okay, so I'm pretty anal about my property, so I want to make sure that everything I'm spending is tracked and that I have literally everything written out so that I know what my return is. That's how I know that I'm exactly to the penny what I'm into it. I try to do the bare minimum. I have a couple really great contractors in the area that give me great prices, and so I really didn't spend that much on labor. Like all in, it might have been 7,000 in labor, 10,000 in labor. Like it was ridiculously cheap for that one. So trash, obviously. I put on a new deck. And to make it rent ready, I junked it out and then I got new flooring in there. I did carpet, I painted everything. I didn't mess with the structure of it. Again, 1960s trailer. I tub painted over that. It was not my best choice.
Did it peel?
Yeah, so it looks great. She's a cutie. I tried to do literally the bare minimum. I got new appliances that were used appliances on Facebook. And then I got the new carpet in there. I didn't mess with anything else. Like I tried to leave every single window the same. There's literally a cracked window in there. Like I let them know. There's a cracked window. If it breaks, let me know. I'll fix it. Like I'll replace it. Otherwise, it's staying. I got some stuff put on the roof to make sure that it wouldn't leak. That was one thing that I was concerned about just because it is really old. So they just put a bunch of tar on the top of it and rolled it on. That helped. It held up all winter. It's held up, no leaks, nothing. New light fixtures from Habitat, the appliances I got from Habitat, new vanity. I mean, it's pretty bare minimum to get these things. And it's 500 square feet, so it's pretty teeny. So I wouldn't say there's too much. I think it's less maintenance than an actual house just because there's less to do. Like it's 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, but it's teeny tiny.
How long did it take you to renovate?
Longer than I wanted. So it was 3.5 months. Yeah, 3.5 months. I always think I can get it done in a month or less. I never can. I always try to. And then I worked on it a bunch too to make the numbers a little bit lower. So if I had to pay for someone to replace me, it might have been an extra $5,000, but I probably wouldn't do that again. And then for out of state, this was my, oh, go ahead.
Oh, have you tried it over here in Idaho?
I have not. Yeah, I stick to Washington. I don't know why. The landlord laws are way worse in Washington. I don't know why. I would honestly recommend Idaho over Washington if you want to have rentals just cuz it's a lot more strict over there. Like I was really worried about an eviction, about not paying, right? So that's why I was like, "Oh, you're negotiating." Right? I would suggest Idaho. Just yeah. So for out of state, I did it in my hometown. Most of us in this room aren't from this area, so if your hometown is cheaper and you still have family there or you like to visit there, I'd suggest investing there. It's cheaper. They usually cash flow like crazy. Just know your market, have boots on the ground, do a lot of interviews when you're over there. I would suggest going there, flying there, being there for the first at least like 2 weeks to scope out the property, get the connections that you need to make it work, and then just go from there, make sure they're solid. I stayed the entire time. It was 4 months of my life I'll never get back in West Virginia this year. So that was so fun. And it's scary. Just take the jump. There's a bunch of states listed out. Ohio is one of them. This is on like the border of Ohio in the hills of West Virginia. But this is Hillcrest. I bought this one for $11,000. It's an actual house. It has a foundation. It's a real property for $11,000, and there's one for sale in that same town right now for $6,000. Huh? No, I'm not. I'm not going back over to West Virginia again for a long time. It was, whew, it's still West Virginia. But if you have a hometown that you like, or if you want to invest in Parkersburg, West Virginia, you are more than welcome to. That is, I will send you the link if you want to buy that one. Because again, it's one of those ones where it's so cheap. Like, how could you lose money? This was my second one. Same thing. Bought it in cash. Didn't want debt. Had been in debt for the flips. Wanted to stay away from that. So I bought it cash, 11 grand, and she turned out pretty cute too. Yeah, I did a lot of the work on this. I had a lot of contractors flake. I didn't have great boots on the ground, but I was there, so it was fine. I had my roofer who was a pastor with my dad, who's also a pastor. He sent me Photoshop pictures of the roof while I was still in Washington, and I paid him $6,000. So that was a little painful. So bad contractors exist everywhere. You just have to find the good ones. I ended up paying for it and then doing a lot of the work myself to save on it, just because I'm not one to pay for things. So I did the flooring, the drywall, the light fixtures. I know how to do a lot of stuff now, stuff that I never really wanted to do. But when you get scammed out of a roof, you learn how to do a lot. And so this was Hillcrest. These numbers are really great too. I did end up getting help. I went through 4 different contractors, 4 different sets of contractors. Worth it in the end, but the rehab on this one was $25,099. So all in, it was like $36,000. The ARV is $80,000. But realistically, if I wanted to move it quickly, I could sell it for $50,000, $60,000. So we're not talking about a huge return for flipping in the cash flow states like Ohio, West Virginia, Missouri, all the cash flow states, the ones where no one wants to live. We're not talking about huge profits when you're flipping, but they do appreciate, or they do cash flow like crazy. And so I get $1,200 in rent, which was way top dollar. And I do get top dollar for all of my rentals. I do water, sewer, garbage included, and then no pet fees. And so I think my rentals aren't necessarily better than anyone else's. I think they're actually worse in a lot of ways. Like, broken window. But it is the experience that they get with it. So they don't have to worry about if they have 3 dogs, that they have to get one registered as an ESA, or they have to pay crazy pet fees every month. Everything's included. Just not your internet and not your electric. Everything's included. And so I do get top dollar. There were properties for rent for $800 that were bigger than this one. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath. There were 3-bed, 2-baths for $800. I ended up getting 12. I think, again, just know your market, do your marketing crazy well. I get professional photos done on every single property, even if I'm going to keep it. And then I think that just really boosts your credibility too. And then again, I pay for water, sewer, garbage, and she's a single lady, so it's like $100 a month, not bad. And then my property taxes every year on this are $250, $300.
For the whole year?
Yeah, for the whole year. So it cash flows like crazy. It'll never be worth more than $80,000. 10 years from now, it'll probably still be worth $80,000. My parents bought a property over there when I was a baby for like $90,000, I think, and then they just sold that 5 years ago for $100,000. Yeah, and my dad was like, "I made money." You had to like renovate the cabinets and renovate the bathroom. I'm like, no, you didn't. Pay the realtors. No, you didn't. You just got what you paid back. And then my 3rd and 4th one is my duplex that I house hack. I just bought this one this month. I think it's great for beginners if you are willing to take on debt. It was my primary, so I was willing to take on debt for it just because I didn't want to keep renting for the next 5-10 years. So I just made a good decision to be as little out of pocket every month as I could by house hacking it. It still does. It'll do fine. And then you can do $0 down with FHA. You can still look for something to add value. Mine's unfinished in the basement, so I'm going to turn it into 3-bed, 2-baths on each side. Right now, they're 2-bed, 1-baths on each side. And that was it. It was pretty ugly in the photos. Oh, go ahead.
What's the house hacking?
Oh, house hacking is when you live in one side of the multifamily, and then the other side you rent out. But if your payment is $2,000 and you rent the other side for $1,000 or $2,000, it covers half or all of your payment. So then you live for free. Ideally, you would live for free. With the interest rates the way they are, you won't probably live for free, but you might get close. So I am going to be pretty close on this one. My monthly payment is $2,400, and I have 4 people lined up that are willing to rent it at $1,900. So I'll have to pay $500, and then water, sewer, garbage, and then electric on my side. So it lowers my cost of living a lot to have a really nice 2-bed, 1-bath. You can also do it with like rent by the rooms. Some people call that a house hack. I think it more applies to multifamily units, just when you're buying a place and there's 2, 3, 4 units, and it still qualifies for a residential loan. But some people do say that if you have 6 bedrooms in the house and you rent out every single bedroom, that you're house hacking. So it can work either way. But ideally it covers your monthly payment with the renters that you have on the same unit or units.
And with that, do you have to live in the house for a certain amount of time? rule on that?
Sort of. So,
With SHA, you have to intend to live in the home.
intent, yeah.
Yeah.
Intent is really hard to measure though, right? And that's for any kind of loan. You have to intend to live there. I had one lady, she ended up selling her home like 90 days after she purchased it just because the road noise was so bad. And she was totally able to get qualified again for the next home because she just explained the situation. She had to do an LOE, which is a letter of explanation for why she was moving so shortly after she purchased the first one. You just have to explain why. And again, just you have to intend to live there. But again, intent, how do you measure it? I don't know. Most people do say that you have to live there for a year after.
Right? Are we wrong on that?
No, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Your first one, you can pretty much make up any excuse, but if you have a pattern of your intent changes every 4 months.
Yeah.
Then they said the Diddy Squad after you.
They don't check unless you get flagged as suspicious. But even then, what's most likely going to happen is your underwriter can look at your 5 addresses in the last year. Or you go, oh no, what the hell, we're not doing this. You're probably going to just not be able to buy your next house. But it does happen on occasion. I've heard that you end up on a list, they'll send an investigator out to take some pictures if you're really living there.
Oh, interesting.
That's not on your first one.
Yeah, not your first one. And if you're military too and you're getting bopped around, like, you know, they're not going to flag you for that. But
We don't encourage mortgage fraud here.
it's just, no. It's a gray area. It's a little gray. And this is the after. This one was the cheapest renovation I've done, and it was just because it was in the best condition out of all of them. The trailer was like falling apart, like, you know, and it's still falling apart. And then the one in West Virginia had no floors or walls, so it was also really falling apart. And this one was honestly fine. It was super cosmetic. I didn't even refinish the floors. I just put some pine sol down, and I'm hoping for the best. And then I just got a contractor to do. I do get really great prices again, and so I would bid your contractors against each other. For the butcher block counter, for him to custom make it, rip out the old one and put this one in, it was $300 plus material. For the backsplash, which I don't know if you can really see it in there, but it's like a really, really cute, like hard to do backsplash. I think I paid $250 for him to paint the entire house, 800 square feet, and the cabinets. Cabinets a different color than the rest of the house. It was $700. So I spent like nothing on this one. It was just, you know, just little things. And then I had a handyman that did some of the other stuff for me. But most of the money that I actually spent on this is for my side of the duplex. But I do include it in this because for tax purposes, it will be one of my rentals. So the numbers on this, I bought this one for $320. It's the biggest debt that I've ever had. I don't have a car payment, don't have student loans. This one was really painful to do, but I didn't want to keep renting, and so here I am. And then the $20,000 in rehab cost, again, most of it was for my unit. I'd say actually what I spent on this side was probably maybe 10 grand. This also includes my down payment. So $20,000 with my down payment, with my closing costs, with everything. I got the seller to pay for a lot. And then I had him evict the tenants on the other side while they were living there. During inspection, I just said they have to be out. So he made sure it was vacant for me and empty. I got him to pay all of my closing costs. I increased my commission on it. And then I got a home warranty. I got $5,000 in repairs before I closed. I got a really good deal on it. It's just in the ghetto.
Can you talk about what you did with your commission?
Yeah.
Like the benefits of having a license?
I don't know if it's beneficial to have a license unless you're actually going to pursue it as a career, or if you buy more than one a year, which sometimes people don't. They just, you know. So you just have to weigh the benefits and the cons, right? I think I paid $2,000 a year to be licensed. If I didn't buy this house and I wasn't helping other people, it would be a $2,000 waste. Other than if I just wanted to go see stuff on the market. But for this one, what I was able to do, I did FHA. I automatically get on this one, it was like a 2.5% commission. That's what they offered. So 2.5% of 320. It's like a lot of math. Nine grand almost. Nine grand. I think I increased it to 4.5% and just jacked it up. I had him directly like pay that commission. I didn't credit it towards anything. I had that get paid to my real estate business. And I'm not counting that against the 20 grand. So that's separate money, but I did increase it so that I could get more off, or I could have just decreased the purchase price by 14 grand. Yeah. So you can be pretty out of pocket if you want to be, if you're a realtor. That is a good benefit to it. You can,
4.5. So that pays for like 7 years of licensing.
yeah,
It's not bad.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. I don't know. They were really weirded out by me doing that though, because not many people increase their commission. Like most people just take what they can get, and they're like, okay. But I would have rather had money in my bank account than $5,000 over 30 years. Yeah. So I just took the difference on that one, and then so I'll cash flow like 800 on this, negative 800, but that's what I'll pay to live, so that's not too bad. And so after it's all said and done, if I can get the trailer rented at 1,500, which I'm pretty confident I can, I would make $55,600 a year off of all of the rents included, and then my costs for all of them would be so $2,700 with the $350 lot rent, like 36 grand, 36, maybe 40, say 40,000. That's not right. Is that right?
What's your monthly cash flow? It's a couple thousand, right?
Yeah. The monthly is, so if I can get the trailer rented at 15 and then I get this rented at 19, that's 24, 34. Yeah, 34. And then the West Virginia one's 1,200. So 46 times 12, whatever that ends up being. I think it's 55,000. I think I calculated it earlier. So I'll take that. I don't have to get life insurance now because I can support myself if I become disabled. And then if you want to connect with me, I'd be happy to get coffee with you guys. And that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you gonna keep buying?
Well, so I wasn't planning on it. I really don't want to get any more for a while and just stay, because it does take a lot of time. Like I sold 50 homes last year, and this year I'm on track to maybe sell 20, just because I've spent so much time on my rentals. I was really just gonna hold off for a while, but the one in my trailer park just came up for free, and I think I'm gonna take it. Because how can you pass up a free deal? Like that's how can you lose money on that, right?
Oh, I could.
It takes a lot of practice.
And it makes good practice.
Yeah.
The one you bought in West Virginia, that was your hometown, or?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, I joined, and that I didn't buy on market either. I try to avoid buying on market if I can, just because I think there's better deals off market. Sometimes there's good ones on market. You just have to have a great realtor like Nick. Shameless plug.
Oh.
Yeah. But I just joined a wholesaler's list, and I just kept looking at what they kept populating, and for 11 grand, I was like, how could I lose money on this? And over time, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just not instant gratification, which is kind of hard to swallow with rentals, but I think it's worth it.
In that West Virginia town that you bought in, what's like the main industry there?
Coal.
Coal?
Yeah,
Okay.
coal. So it's very blue collar. The tenants over there are really great. Like I had, again, super high maintenance gal here. Water was 15 minutes for hot water. She ended up getting a tankless water heater because she complained, right? My sink literally collapsed. Like the plumbing just busted, went everywhere in the West Virginia house. The ceiling is leaking water. The whole place is like flooded, and she's fixed everything. Like they're just very handy, like gritty people, and she's not complained. Like I was just like, how's it going? Is everything good? She was like, oh, this and this and this happened, but I fixed it. Don't worry. So it's a different mentality for sure.
Just take like portions off her rent and just charge the same.
No. Are you joking? No, she could have asked. Yeah.
You just don't like, you won't buy another one there?
I would. It's just you have to have really great boots on the ground. And so if you are really good at managing people and really good at being willing to spend money to get good, trustworthy people, then I think you could absolutely do it. For me, I was trying to find affordable people just because, again, paying cash, didn't get a hard money loan. Like this is my savings account. And so I took a lot of bids and I tried to find the ones that were not the cheapest, but medium cheap. And they were really flaky. And so if you were going to go out of state, I would go for Top Dollar that has amazing reviews, like well recommended people that, people have liked and trusted before, because you don't want to end up with a photoshopped roof when you're 3,000 miles away. Yeah. I didn't even know how he did that. Like, it is so wild to me because this man is like 50 years old. I was like, he doesn't know how to use Photoshop. Like, that's not even on my radar. And then my dad drives by and there's no roof. He's like, this is the same roof that it was 3 weeks ago. Not touched.
Oh, that's just wild. So he faked the picture that he sent you.
Oh, yeah. And I paid for him.
Photoshop is hilarious.
Yeah.
You can hire people on Fiverr for $10 to modify. I've done it.
Photos of yourself?
No.
Oh.
For inspectors.
Okay. We don't commit mortgage fraud. We don't commit.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. For legal reasons, it's a joke.
Would you compare West Virginia's landlord?
You can evict within 5 days. Yeah, 5 days after they don't pay, you can evict. The sheriff will be at the door kicking them out. But they are more gritty people, so I would be a little scared to go head to head with one of them. I would be a little scared to post an eviction notice. They're big mountain men. They're a little scary. So choose your renters wisely if you go out of state to the Midwest.
Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.